Today, I sit at the table with younger versions of myself, the ones who never knew how big they could dream. To my left, the toddler who can barely walk, but the pitter-patter of her little feet are paving the path to bigger feats. I tell her that reaching for the stars will require her to tippy-toe, and that the moon is just a prayer away. That the world is cold and will try to freeze her heart, but she was forged from wildfire, born to blaze through any burden. I tell her to believe in her flame. Even when doused in gasoline, I give her permission to strike that match and watch the demons who stole her innocence burn in the hell of her vengeful becoming. I tell her it is safe here. Today, I sit at the table with younger versions of myself, the ones who never knew how big they could dream. To my right, the adolescent who can barely bleed but is expected to be woman all the same. She's afraid to speak of the expectations lodged in her throat, how they set their eyes on her voice, then leave her unseen and not heard. So she holds on to silence between her teeth like grudges. The plaque is thick with hard feelings. Her smile is cracked from the inside, so she hides behind a broken reflection, hoping her distorted image is mosaic enough to fit in. I tell her silence could never conquer the vastness of her purpose, that a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I give her permission to unclench her jaw, take a deep breath, and exhale the fear eating away at her audacity to exist. I tell her to believe in her pace. Even when the trail feels like a bed of nails, she must remember the soles of her feet are anointed in revolution. She's a walking war, head to toe, who can transform trauma into triumph by crawling through stanzas just to feel something. I assure her the future cannot be bright without her glow, and dimming herself is never a go. I tell her she is safe here. Today, I sit at the table with younger versions of myself, the ones who never knew how big they could dream. Sitting across from me sits the lost adult, the one who wanders namelessly, who can't remember what they called her before mother, before wife, before woman. She cries riots from her eyes, hoping someone would recognize how disorder borders her judgments, how her lips press to contain the protest watering in her mouth. I tell her justice is at the tip of her tongue, and if she'd only take one breath, she could tip the scale in her favor. I tell her to breathe. I tell her to breathe. I tell her to speak. I tell her to breathe. I tell her that the only blade she should hold in her hand is the one that is mightier than the sword. I give her permission to pick up the pen again, step onto the stage, and bleed until she remembers that her name means gift from God, a present that doesn't enter a room wrapped in apology, a jasmine flower that can alchemize her petals into the shape of a rose, and that gardens flourish every day she chooses to breathe. I tell her to breathe. I tell her to speak. I tell her to breathe. I tell her she is safe here. Today, I sit at the table with the younger versions of myself, the ones who never knew how big they could dream. We sit in silence for a moment, staring into each other's eyes, and together, in one breath, we say, I am safe here.